Alright, we should be live. Phone check looks good. Okay, so we finished Tyvar last time. I think he got to a good place. And at the very end, I announced which card we would be building around next time. So this is a slightly blurry picture. It's not the best screenshot I have of him. I don't know, maybe we got one in the Uzi thing. The what's the word I'm looking for? Spoiler, like the visual spoiler. This is actually one of the commander deck cards, so we'll need that. Flare, chromatic cube, these. Commander image gallery. Actually, no, wait, no, he would be lower. And he's not on the list. Okay. He is from the commander deck, right? Yeah. I guess he was one of those unofficial spoilers then. Somebody got their hands on one of the decks. Anyway, so this is Bilbo. Specifically, him at his birthday party. And he likes life gain an awful lot. Like, a ridiculous amount. And in the back of my head, I've had this idea for a base white. I didn't know what other colors. Green was a possibility, black was a possibility, blue a little bit, and red was basically non existent for this idea, but I wanted to build a deck that is way more concerned about its own survival and not necessarily even winning the game, which is usually a terrible strategy. Like, life gain for life gain's sake does not do anything, and poison, commander damage, alternate win cons, infinite effects, all of those are things that can very easily happen in a game of commander. So it's a it's an interesting strategy, but it's not necessarily good. But I have wanted to build this deck to see if I could make it, at least decent. I'm just imagining it when it works, the game takes absolutely forever, or everybody gives up because they're not going to be able to kill me. So that is the goal with Bilbo here, is that we are going to gain so much life and stop everything else from ever getting anywhere near killing us that we just eventually win the game through the sheer exhaustion of everybody else trying to murder us and failing. We're going to outlive all of our opponents. So that is the deck I'm going to build. And fortunately, he does not require anything from the Lord of the Rings set. So, although we should still be building him by the time the full spoiler is up, so we can actually look and see if there's anything else we want to run with him in the new set when we're done. But unlike other cards that are very focused on strategies that will be supported in the set, Bilbo is just a pure life gain deck. And while there is a food sub theme in black green that might be relevant, we're at least going to get to start just with Bilbo and focus on him. So I'm expecting this deck to be very white and mildly, like, I'm expecting the color scheme to go primary white, secondary green, tertiary black. So we'll have to see if that works out. But yeah, I'm going to focus very heavily on not dying and on gaining obscene amounts of life is the goal. So we are starting with the Forgotten Realms again, as we normally do, because I start alphabetically. Yeah, I think the only time we intentionally started outside of the Forgotten Realms was trying to build a Poison Matters deck when I did the Yarok build for Phyrexia All Will Be One. Because at that point, we needed to know all of our poison and proliferate cards more than we needed like any specific random card. I wanted to know what our baseline was. I don't know that we're going to complete the dungeons. I kind of want to see the dungeons real quick just to make sure which ones have life gain. I know there's a tiny bit of life in the one. Um oh, so I was thinking of the smaller dungeon has like some life gain on it, but this one also starts off with life gain. Scry, treasure token, can attack. Um Exile or scry 2, exile 2 cards from your library. You may play them. Do 1/1 black skeleton tokens. Scry 3, draw 3 cards, and you may cast them with draw 3 cards, you may cast them without paying their mana cost. So that's not particularly useful to what we're trying to accomplish. Or the other two. Here it is. So scry 1, create a 1/1, create a treasure. Oh, this one. Oh, there it is. Each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So, yeah, there's only a teeny tiny amount of life gain on those 2 dungeons, and the third one is very much a no, let's just kill our opponents. Let's make everything die real quick. So, not particularly interested in Asmodeus. 3 color, or I'm sorry, triple black activation in our tertiary color. Just to get the 7 cards, and then like yes, I don't mind paying life for more cards since I'm planning on gaining so much, but I would prefer if I got my normal draw step, or if I didn't have to spend extra mana to get all of the cards he's been eating. So don't need Bag of Holding, Baleful Beholder. See, the thing is that something like Barrowin would be fine in the deck. I do intend to have a large number of tiny creatures that are all very life gain focused, so being able to get one back every turn that she attacks would be fine. I just don't want to deal with all of the dungeon thing in the first place. So unless we find cards that are really helping us get through the dungeon while gaining life, I'm not going to bother. Whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on Celestial Unicorn. That is not the life gain payoff I'm looking for. I do want life gain payoffs. That is not going to be one of them. Cleric class, on the other hand, is 1,000,000% what I'm looking for. So, let's see. Forgotten Realms. Cleric class. It's white to start off with, and an enchantment. Yeah, Cleric class is 100% the kind of payoff card this deck is looking for. Like, instead of gaining life, we gain extra life, and every time we gain life, our creatures get better. Like, 1 creature at a time, but that's still fine. And the last level lets us get back one of our dead creatures so we can take advantage of its life gain effects. That. If Dawnbringer Cleric was just a tiny bit more versatile, I would say yes. Like, having the life gain attached to it is fine. If it could destroy an artifact or enchantment, or if it could exile the entire graveyard, that might be something we were interested in. Stapled to a creature that also gains life by coming into play, but at that point I would rather have other disenchant effects, and I probably just want something like Scavenging Ooze to gain me life while eating cards out of the graveyard. So Clutches, no. Paladin, no. These. Disciple, Dritz. Landfall, I gain a life. Then I can play an extra land. The Landfall gain a life is definitely on topic, but yeah, we have Courser and other creatures that do that. And the other two abilities aren't particularly strong in our deck. I don't know that we're going to be drawing a ton of extra cards. That we're going to have an extra land to play every turn. And turning one of our lands into a big dumb creature isn't really part of the game plan, so. It's not a terrible card, but I feel like that one's going to be a cut before we're done. Don't need Ebon Death for anything. Don't really need Eliwick either. I think we need the Flump. And don't really need Froghemoth either, as Graveyard Hate goes. Soul Hunter. No. Flash Vigilance. Enters the battlefield. Any number of other target creatures I control phase out. Maybe. We're going to need ways to protect our swarm of little life gain creatures from things, so I can see Guardian of the Faith being useful. Or just of Faith. White, Spirit Knight. It's a 3/2. That do not need the Hand of Vecna. Just because I will have plenty of life to spend doesn't mean I want to spend it all on equipping this thing. Bill Giant's too small a life gain thing, or too high a casting cost. No. No to Inspiring Bard. Rabid Outlander. Really anything. Wolf is fine. I don't think we need her though. Like, drawing a card and losing a life is fine. Making two creatures off of her is also okay. I imagine we're going to have a bunch of the Soul Sister type cards in this deck, but her ultimate's not really doing anything, and our creatures dying, while certainly something that will happen a lot, is not something I'm planning on. So I won't be able to protect her by, sacrificing creatures for value or anything to keep her alive. Or just get more loyalty on her so I can make more creatures to sacrifice. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Entertainment. Star. Gnawbones. A Fiddlebender deck. I'm not sure what artifacts we're running. Probably Alhammarret's Archive, but I don't know that we're gonna have anywhere near enough artifacts to care about a artifact centric birthing pod effect. Potion of Healing is too small an effect. I could see Priest of Ancient Lore and its other, like the Angel one from New Capenna, possibly being in the deck. Mostly because I expect us to have enough. Dwarf Cleric, that's what I thought. I expect us to have enough link effects because we will have enough cards that care about our creatures coming into play to gain life, that I'm going to want to run some number of them. And right below that is Prosperous Innkeeper. One in the green, 2 mana. Halfling Citizen. Yeah. One tiny bit of mana ramp, but again, another one of the Soul Sister style cards where we gain life when creatures come into play. So, Ranger class, Ranger's Hawk. Yeah, I think we're going to wind up being a go wide deck, so something like Reaper's Talisman is not going to be anything I want. If able, at the beginning of your end step, create a tapped 1/1 black skeleton creature token. If a creature died this turn, create 2 of those tokens instead. A continuous stream of free extra creatures. That might actually be something I want. Like, it doesn't matter that they're going to be small and die. It just matters that they're going to keep coming every turn. So that way, I keep triggering the life gain effects from all of my various sources that care when my creatures come into play. Skullport Merchant. The Merchant is okay. I don't think we need that effect. Like, it's not a terrible thing to have. I'll sacrifice my creatures to draw cards. Teleportation Circle is almost definitely. Teleportation Circle and Conjurer's Closet are very, like, I expect them to make it into the deck. They are certainly cards that I think of when I think of this deck, so whether or not they make the final list. Hey, the Book of Exalted Deeds. If I gain 3 or more life, I make an angel token. And exile the book, put an enlightened counter on target angel, and I can't lose the game and opponents can't win the game, only as a sorcery. It's on theme, but it's not the best. I can add it to the list just in case, but I don't know. Like, I don't know that we're actually ever going to be in a position to want to activate the second ability, and I don't think the first ability is strong enough on its own in Commander. Like, yeah, at the end of each of my turns, I'm almost definitely going to be able to make an extra 3/3 flyer, but that's not a huge payoff. Um, Prelicera. Yeah, I think the Scry is enough of an extra bonus that I will consider her as opposed to the Unicorn. 2 R's. Prelicera. Dancer. Green white for an elf cleric. She's base 2/2. Okay. Play a dungeon, make a 2/2 wolf. Yes, trigger, I venture. damage now. And the zombie ogre. Okay. So that's Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, then its subsequent commander deck. I feel like the Forgotten Realms had a problem with organization, yeah. Hey. Well, that's why we also have Scryfall. Our color identity... Oh, commander. Color identity is white, black, and green. And where's the set? There we go. Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Alright, for this one, for some reason, despite having everything... Yeah, Forgotten Realms Commander. Despite having everything, like, the full name listed and everything, just abbreviates it to Forgotten Realms Commander there. By set number. Another target attacking creature gains indestructible. Whenever a creature or planeswalker you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. The immovable rod. Equipment. Flying lifelink or another non-token enters the battlefield under your control. Venture into the dungeon. Enter in the dungeon, gain 3 life. Nope. Put there from the battlefield this turn to your hand, or return them directly to the battlefield. Whenever you attack, investigate. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, venture into the dungeon. Bag of Devouring. Death Tyrant. Hireling. Hellish Rebuke, no. Orcan, no. Okay, until you reveal a creature with that mana value. Base power and toughness 10. Starting with you, each player may choose an artifact or enchantment you don't control. Destroy each permanent chosen that way. 3+3. Your Hydra. 2 target permanent cards in your graveyard. So their total mana value. Held Endeavor, no. First Strike, reach, attacks, 1/1 counter for each equipment. Move all 1/1 counters, X damage. The number of counters removed. Nope. No. Okay, Sword of Hours and Underdark Rift. Nope, okay. So, go. Okay. Aether Revolt next. Another creature you control to owner's hand, but that's 5 mana. Add energy, make a 1/1. Thing. Thing. It's him. Lifelink. Go top 3 cards of your library. Put all non-land permanent cards revealed this way into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Exile target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. Put 5 1/1 counters on each creature you control and 5 loyalty counters on each other planeswalker. I'm not gonna lie, I really want our removal package to exile for the most part. I think Casualties of War is the only non-exiling card I'm going to be super interested in because I want to grind the opponents down in order to win by outlasting them. We're going to need to be able to recycle our graveyard back into our deck frequently, and we want to deny anybody else the ability to do that. So, in addition to probably running Leyline of the Void and possibly Wheel of Sun and Moon on ourselves, I do want to have most of our removal, if not all of it, exile. I think Casualties of War is way too strong to not run at that point, but I'm going to be way more interested in exiling everything than killing everything. Also, my Wraths probably need to destroy instead of exile if they don't hit only opponents, because I don't want my stuff getting exiled for the most part. I want to try and keep as many cards so that way I don't get to the point where I would deck out, but in case somebody gets stubborn and decides, no, we're going to play this one out, I want to make sure I can actually win the game by dragging the game out as long as possible. Don't need Call for Unity. Crackdown is okay for keeping their artifacts under wraps. Also, it gets rid of their treasure tokens, but I think I have to double check the wording on the the one from Dominaria United that exiles low casting cost stuff. If it hits all permanents, that might be a better answer to things like treasure tokens and whatnot, and just token decks in general. Although I do expect to have a large number of smaller creatures myself, so maybe that's not good enough. 1 second. Alright. Just needed to have a small coughing fit, try and. Because I feel my voice going, so I wanted to see if I could help it a little bit. And that seems to have cleared it up a bit, but not nearly enough. Said exile Exquisite Archangel, and your life total becomes equal to your starting life total. Well, I thought I had it at least a little bit, but I suppose not. Let's try water instead of soda. See if that helps any. Um, hmm. I don't know. Sorry. How many lifelink creatures I actually need? I'm not planning on necessarily killing the opponent through damage. Alright, one more time. Hey. Alright. So yeah, I'm not planning on necessarily killing the opponent with damage. Like I said, my goal is more to outlast them and win a very long and protracted game. But I'm not entirely opposed to draining them life over the course of the game, so I just don't know if I care enough about attacking them to want a bunch of lifelink creatures. Like, I'm looking at the Gifted Aetherborn, and I'm like, I'm more inclined to run Nighthawk and the Scavenging Nighthawk because they can block a lot more creatures with flying. So, they would be able to actually protect me better while gaining me life. we definitely want to consider heroic intervention, though. We will have access to, God. I'm sorry. I did not think I was going to have this much trouble. Like, yeah, sometimes I need to clear my throat a little bit while I'm doing this, but like every couple words, I can feel my throat like getting clogged and congested, and I can like my voice starts going. I'm gonna try to clear it out again. Give me a minute. Hey, we'll see how long it lasts this time. So anyway, am planning to have like flawless maneuver, crescendo, probably Teferi's protection too, but yep, already failing. But that doesn't mean we won't run heroic intervention. So, in fact, this deck might need more cards like that. Like it might have a higher percentage of cards that have that effect. Just because it's trying to protect its creatures constantly. Nope, just gonna keep dying. Don't mind me. 1/1 counter on each creature you control. No, the Colossus. Prey upon. God. Hey. Gain 3 life, make 3 energy. Not really a thing. Rishkar's expertise. Up to arrest. Treasure Keeper. Rebel. Walking Ballista. Yeah, I don't think I want to bother with the Walking Ballista, Infinite Heliod's, and whatnot, even though we could very easily put something like that in this deck, since a lot of our things are going to grant lifelink. And an effect like Heliod Suncrowned or whatever, the one that puts counters on your creatures when you gain life. Like, that would be functional in the deck, but that's not how I want to win. So yeah, if you are looking for a deck that's going to use Bilbo to absolutely ruin the opponents, look for something that has that kind of combination in it. Like, if you have an Anthem effect, all you need to do is get to the 111 life, and then you just use Bilbo to tutor all of those creatures into play, and it's just like, oh cool, now when I gain life, my things get counters, and my creatures have lifelink, and Walking Ballista is now in play, so as soon as I deal a point of damage, we just win the game. Like, that is a viable strategy, but... Hey. Yeah, no, I was not feeling anything remotely like this before I started streaming, and now it's way worse than it normally is, so... This is extra frustrating. Again, I don't think I need to be giving all of my creatures lifelink. Um, a spell that's almost entirely purely life gain, especially with the number of one casting cost creatures I'm expecting to have in the deck. Like, I don't see this being a particularly good card, despite it having Cascade. Um, onboard tricks that save my creatures. This guy, the cleric spirit, the 2/1 flyer. I think I would rather be able to ambush our opponents with the effect, so that way they think they're going to Wrath, rather than force them to have a targeted removal for my escort or whatnot first, and then Wrath after I've committed to giving my guys indestructible for that turn. Um, I might possibly be interested in an identity crisis though. Being able to take one of my opponent's entire hand and their graveyard away when I'm trying to exile all of their resources to win a long grindy game does feel more like what this deck is about. Crisis. We might not wind up running it just because it's expensive and only affects one opponent, but this is more of the type of deck where I would run a card like this. Hey. For each untapped creature you control, no. Creatures you control get +1/+1, no. Lord of Extinction, no. Maelstrom Pulse, no. Each creature devoured, no. Exile all creature cards from target player's graveyard, then create a 2/2 for each one exiled this way, and they gain zombies gain lifelink. I'm expecting to exile graveyards in other ways, so this one won't be able to make enough zombies to justify the casting cost. Also, I'm not planning on doing a lot of zombie tokens right now, unless there's something else going on that's making zombie tokens that's also doing what I was planning on doing, so. While it does meet the stated requirements, where it's exiling the opponent's graveyard, making a bunch of blockers, and giving them lifelink, it's still not exactly where I want to be, so. Gain life equal to the total life lost by all players this turn. I also don't want just pure life gain. I want to be doing something else with my cards besides that. Like, just gaining life is not going to actually do anything. And the secondary effect has to be pretty strong. So we're giving up a card. We would gain an absolute ton of life if we did something like Exsanguinate and then crack this afterwards. But that seems like way too much effort and cards invested for not enough actual effect most of the time. Onward to alliances. I think there's only one card that I'm going to be seriously considering for the deck, but maybe I've forgotten something. Carrier Pigeon. Seized Vermin. Spirit Guide. So, Exile is the card I was thinking of. So, it exiles a non-white attacking creature, and I gain the life based on the toughness. So, this one's a little bit more wonky than the removal I'm expecting to run. Like, we're definitely going to have, like, swords and path and whatnot, but exile has potential because it lets me gain the life, and it is exiling the creature. Also note, it doesn't have to be attacking me, so I can, in fact, exile a creature that's attacking somebody else. Like, let's say I look too threatening or have way too much stuff in play to attack, or somebody else looks way more threatening and needs to lose a whole bunch of stuff, and so they throw like their Ulamog at somebody else. I can, at end of combat, before we go to main phase 2, exile the Ulamog. So that is an option. Dorn Druid, absolutely not. I don't care if you gain me 4 life, you are a terrible magic card. I just wanted to throw some shade at this Findorn creature, whichever one it was. I don't even remember its title. Druid. Yeah, it's had it far too good for too long. Need to be brought down a peg. Damage will be dealt to target creature, planeswalker, or player this turn is dealt to this creature instead. Only you may activate this ability. Lodestone Bauble. Discard a card, put a 1/1 counter target creature, or that creature gains banding, first strike, or trample. Gains first strike until end of turn. Veteran. Sphere. Sustaining Spirit. You know, the Taste of Paradise. Would we be interested in Tornado? It does only destroy. It's got cumulative upkeep. But wow, can we pay a lot of life if we're doing things properly to just blow up multiple permanents over the course of like 2 or 3 turns before we can't afford the cumulative upkeep and the activation at the same time, realistically. I mean, probably not, still. If it exiled, I would 100% do that, but... Alright, that was alliances. On to a Monkhet. We have a whole bunch of white-black zombie things. When you do, untap all other creatures you control. We're not really planning on being a token-making deck, as far as I know, so Anointed Procession and Anointer Priest both aren't particularly interesting. Again, I'm planning on winning by outlasting our opponents. I don't think I need to win with Approach of the Second Sun. Like, I'm not even sure if I'm going to bother with Felidar Sovereign and Test of Endurance at this point. Although they are fine ways to actually end the game in our favor. And they do distract our opponents from everything else that we're doing. Although sometimes they distract them by making them try and get us below the life total, which I guess ultimately is still fine. Like, I'm still gaining life faster than they're dealing damage, ideally. Don't need Bantu's Monument. Or Bantu herself, for that matter. Cronus. Sorry, Rest. Reality. Graveyard Tier. Nope. Although, maybe. What does Dust kill again? Destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater. and then return all creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand. Maybe, actually. That might just be enough. So Dusk is 2 white white. So Dusk, Dawn, 2 white white, sorcery. 3 white white, sorcery. That might be good enough. So I'm expecting a lot of our creatures to be low power to begin with, and Bilbo himself is a 2/3 base, so like we might grow our creatures large enough that they get hit by Dusk, but they don't start out that way. And then Dawn can get back our creatures because they are base power and toughness low, so when they're in the graveyard, they'll actually be able to be retrieved that way. Again, I might not run it, but at least it's doing something that feels like what I'm interested in at this point, so. Value 2 or less. Like, I will be interested in cards that return low mana value cards from my graveyard to the battlefield, but I need something a bit better than a 3 mana 3/2 that can do it every other time it attacks, or every other turn, because it exerts itself, rather. Yeah, I don't think I'm discarding a lot of my cards, so that one's not going to work. Finish. Cost sack a creature, destroy target creature. Thank you. I think we're going to use other cards. Like, Forsake the Worldly does exile the thing. So that is a factor, but I think we're going to use some of the other exiling uh, artifacts and enchantment cards. Like, I think I would rather run Dust to Dust and the Barrier Breach if I'm going to do one type, and I probably want things like the one from Future Sight that I'm blanking on the name of all of a sudden, and the Naga from the Forgotten Realms Commander Legend set with the adventure that exiles. Do we want Gideon? Or we can't lose the game as long as we have Gideon. As long as we have a Gideon. Um, maybe. Probably not, but maybe. We'll consider him at least. I don't know how many other Gideons we would run if we bothered with this Gideon, though, so. Planeswalker, he starts on. We have no interest in the Martial Paragon. Raider Sandworm. Patra. Tapped Creek. Hazard's Hydra. Bear. Um, Graveyard. Black Zombie. Yeah, I don't think we need Death's Majesty at all. Gain 1 life. Gain 2 life. Vigilance. Yeah, that seems underwhelming. Destructible, no. Think we need protection of the Heckma. That seems like a very small effect as a way to keep my life total high. Don't think we're gonna have enough cats for that. Renewed Faith is just too small an effect, even with. We would need so many different life gain synergies with this card. And even then, it seems like such a weak effect as opposed to repeatable life gain. Probably consider Scattered Groves. Yeah, there's going to be a few more white-green duels than there are black-green or black-white, but as black is our tertiary color, I don't think we worry about that too much, so we don't... Like, if black were a more necessary color in the deck, then I would be more inclined to split the lands among the ones that we can actually get with the fetches, so that way we can get more black lands. But since we won't need that many to begin with, from what I'm planning to do, that means white-green dual lands are going to be a lot more important than either the black-green or black-white. And the ones that we can run should be enough to support the deck. Yeah, if like let's say black was the most important color, I would probably be a lot less inclined to run the white green, the extra white green dual lands, like maybe some of them, but I'd be more concerned with getting like the snow duels and the Dominaria duels in to make sure we can fetch black mana more consistently than I would be worried about being able to get white green dual lands. So strength, duelist. Here, any of the viziers. When it loses one life and you gain one life. Okay. Okay. Brings us to antiquities, which I'm not expecting to have anything because I don't plan on running enough artifacts. So that's something that gains me life for every artifact is going to be relevant. That leaves mostly the artifacts themselves. Armageddon Clock, Ashnod's Altar, Ogrant, Candelabra, Avian, Colossus, Crumble, Field, Avenger, Gate to Phyrexia. I don't know why I pronounced Phyrexia so weird there. Don't think we need Ivory Tower. Like, I don't expect to have a giant hand a lot of the time. And if I did, I would rather have, Venser's Journal or something where I'm just gaining life based on the number of cards in my hand, not cards in my hand -4. And I need another effect to keep my hand that large. I don't need Workshop. Risk of Undoing, Onulet, Dracolite. Yeah, we can do better than reverse polarity. Like, literally, for one more mana, we can have that for any effect that damaged us, and seems way better. Don't need the artifact Lucky Charm. Yep, okay. Was not expecting anything from Antiquities, but doesn't mean we don't check, because there's always cards I have forgotten existed. For Antiquities, we have Apocalypse. Yep, go ahead. You can search for Apocalypse. Sanctuary. Caves. Like Bears. Strength. Dead Ringers. Death Grasp. Not really. If I'm gonna run Death Grasp, I'm gonna run Exsanguinate instead. Degas Sanctuary is just gain 2 life on my upkeep. We can do way better than that. Yeah, I don't think we need Armageddon effects. There is some value in considering it, like if I'm going to destroy all of my opponent's lands and then be able to replay my own ideally and exile theirs from the graveyard. That might be relevant, but I don't. That seems like way too many cards dedicated to a sub strategy that I'm not going to be able to dedicate that many cards at the end of the build, so. Don't. Jared. Verdict. Gerard. There is an extra R at the end. It is Gerard, not Jared. Not Jared. Jared's like the Lich Lord from Ravnica. I don't need War Dead. Pay 2 life, prevent the next 1 damage will be dealt to target creature this turn. Eh. No to Mournful Zombie. Yeah, I don't need our opponents losing 3 life a turn for the Necro Sanctuary, so. But we can run all of these creatures, so. Or all of these cards, rather. So green tap, add 1 mana of any color. White tap, prevent the next 1 damage will be dealt to any target this turn. Enters the battlefield with 2 counters and trample. With 1 counter and functional lifelink. Like, slightly better lifelink because it stacks. Don't need the Penumbra monsters. Definitely don't need Overgrown Estate. I don't think we need Pernicious Deed as our reset button. Phyrexian Arena, though, since I plan on gaining a ton of life. Let's go ahead. That one in. A Putrid Warrior, no. Quagmire Druid, no. Green and black regenerate, no. Soul Link is kind of silly, but not really what we need. Notice Spirit Monger. Deployment. Vindicate. Okay. That's Apocalypse. Apocalypse. Hold down, please, instead of getting stuck on sets that have extended names. Yeah, I'm not expecting anything from Arabian Nights either, but we'll see. No to Jafar. Lamp. Ring. Army. Go to Bazaar. City in a Bottle. Good old Cyclone. No. Desert Twister, no. Drop of Honey. I plan on having a lot of low power creatures, so not so much. Amjin, Eye for an Eye. Guardian Beast. Whack Whack. All of these so far. Liet, Piety, Arzad, Sorceress Queen. Yeah, didn't think so. Alright, so that's Arabian Nights. Avacyn. Avacyn might legitimately have stuff for this deck, so. Think Growth. Exile all zombies. No. Players can't pay life. No. No, I want to be able to pay life. I'm going to be gaining so much of it. Maybe Avacyn, like, just because. Just because she makes all of my stuff way harder to deal with, so. Oh wow, we're already at the hour mark. Okay. So we'll finish Avacyn then, and then I'll create the break, but we have plenty of time, so. Soul of Hope. Yeah. I always forget what her actual title is. 5, white, 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 Angel, 8, 8. Hey. Martyr in Blood, Blood Artist. The creature dies, target player loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. Maybe? Black. Vampire 0-1, I believe. Yep. Okay. Bower Passage. Nurgle. All to Serve. Cathar's Crusade. No. Don't think we're gonna have enough creatures of overlapping types that the Cavern matters. Champion. Do want Conjurer's Closet. That's true. There was a Blink sub theme in white blue for this set. Destroy target enchantment, gain 2 life. If it exiled the enchantment, I might kind of consider that and probably wind up cutting it anyway, so I'm kind of glad it doesn't. Sent into Madness, no. Prevent the next X damage dealt to you and or permanents you control this turn. If damage is prevented this way, deals that much damage to any target. Nope. Repository, eaten by spiders. Patient Angel. Treat. Exquisite Blood. We gotta be careful with this Exquisite Blood. I don't want to do the, like, infinite loop combos with those things. And Exquisite Blood is the one where we start gaining life, and that makes the opponents lose life, and then therefore we keep gaining life, and so on. Like, if we run Exquisite Blood, I really don't want any of the other cards that when I gain life, opponent loses life. But I think because of how I'm trying to win, I don't plan on running those anyway, I don't think, so we should be good. So this way, when opponents lose life, we just keep gaining more life. That way, if we need to damage them for any reason, or take any other game actions, or they do that cause them to lose life, where opponents attack each other, we'll be gaining extra life from all of those effects. So, Brave Exchange, Gold Knight Redeemer, of War. Yeah, if we could run Gristlebrand, we would absolutely run him, but I think so would every other black decking commander, so that's not really saying much. I mean, there are a few that wouldn't run him, but they'd be weird. Which is not to say they would be bad. There are certainly some interesting decks that just do not want staples. But yeah, for the most part, I think every black deck would have Gristlebrand, and most of them would be running him as the commander because that's just an insane amount of value to have. Like, why are you bothering to do anything else at that point? Yeah, we don't need the scroll for anything. Opponent's control can't cause you to sacrifice permanents. We do still have to worry about getting our stuff exiled, though. And I think I have enough other indestructible and whatnot things that I don't need. Although it does get around the sacrifice things where a bunch of our stuff is only indestructible. So maybe. Okay. Sigarda. Herons. Right, this is our Host of Herons version. 2 green, white, white. White and Joel 5/5. Just fix that since I noticed it. Drive me crazy if I don't. No, no. Soulbound. Both creatures have vigilance. No. Terminus. No. Opponent discards a card if you control a creature with the greatest power. I draw a card if I have the creature with the greatest power. Not very likely to happen in this deck, so. Silverheart. Use. Zealous Strike. Hey. Avacyn. Battle for Zendikar is next. Oh, right. Hang on. Before we start Battle for Zendikar, let me create a break here. So when I do this, this will be where the VOD ends.